Hello and welcome everybody to a new video. Capcom announced a Resident Evil showcase stream for April the 15th. And together with this announcement, they also showed a tiny bit of footage of some new locations as well. And in this video, we are going to analyze these new shots and really dive deep into how it plays into the game and story of Resident Evil Village. And then later in this video, we also want to discuss a little bit about what our expectations are for the showcase next week. But first, David, what can we see in this new footage?
Well, it's really a short trailer, but we're getting to see some new locations, some footage we've seen before, but after this footage, we're getting the first new location we haven't seen before. And we're seeing here a massive factory, including a lot of what looks to me dead bodies or being moved around in this factory.
Yeah, indeed, I can also see the same thing. So this is one of the new locations that we haven't seen before in any footage from Resident Evil Village up until now. And it looks like this is very possibly Heisenberg's factory. And Heisenberg's factory is a location that we can see on the map that was already unveiled with the collector's edition. Well, we are actually almost certain that this will be Heisenberg's factory because it looks like a factory. And indeed, these people over here, which seem to be transported in the factory to a higher level. I'm not really sure where they're going to, but it looks like they're being transported even higher into the factory. These people are possibly, we're not sure, but if you played some other Resident Evil games before, you know that the central theme is most of the time these bioorganical weapons. And it can be very possible that these are the bioorganic weapons that are being produced in Heisenberg's factory. We do not know for sure, but it certainly looks this way from what we are seeing in this image.
Yes, and next up we got a short gameplay teaser where we're seeing probably Ethan walking with a gun. And this also looks to be in the factory because we're having the same red light here that we've seen in the footage. I think they're really putting these red lights only in this location, so it's probably connected to each other.
Correct, and that indicates also that in the showcase next week, so on April the 15th, we will probably get a more extensive look at Heisenberg's factory. Yeah, but there will probably also be some more footage of Ethan interacting with Lady Dimitrescu and her 3 daughters in a small teaser that we have over here in the showcase where Ethan appears to be cut. And what is so interesting about this shot, David?
Yeah, first off, when I first looked at it, it looked to me as he was cutting his own hand, which was a little bit strange. But if you take a closer look, you can see somebody is holding his hand and somebody is cutting him. And we can also clearly see that somebody else on the left behind the mature age temp is holding him. So it's probably the 2 other sisters we're not seeing in this shot right now. Yeah, so they're cutting him so Lady Dimitrescu can drink his blood.
Indeed, and that is really what these ladies are out for. They want to have Ethan's blood, and indeed 2 of these sisters, 2 of Lady Dimitrescu's daughters are not in the shot, and one is probably holding Ethan, and then the other one is basically cutting open his arm. And well, this is so that Lady Dimitrescu can indeed suck Ethan's blood. And that is what we see basically in the next shot. And this shot was already known to us, of course, but now we see it, of course, what happens before that. So it is definitely against Ethan's will. And then moving on, this I thought was also a very interesting shot because we know about this location before. And this is of course in the wide sort of like semi-open world that Resident Evil 8 will offer. And we can clearly see that this is this Valley of the Kings that we have seen before on the Resident Evil Village map. So we are specifically talking here about this location.
If we're looking at the map, this angle is taken from Heisenberg's factory, and we're looking over these kings that are sitting there towards Castle Dimitrescu. But we're also for the first time seeing this new location at least what looks like this new location that's also on the map, and that is described as Ottos Mill.
We are really looking through this valley of these ancient kings that are sitting on their thrones to what is certainly to be Ottos Mill. And if we scroll a little bit further in the video, then we can actually see here parts of Castle Dimitrescu, and next to it is indeed Ottos Mill, and that eventually leads to a secret castle that I don't believe we have seen yet in any footage before, but that is called the Stronghold, and that will very possibly appear in the end game of Resident Evil Village. And then later in this showcase teaser, we can see one of the directors of the game, so Morimasa Sato, in front of this location with the 4 statues. And again, here in the background, you can see very clearly Castle Dimitrescu. And it's just interesting that we can see this location already now for real instead of only a map. And this is also an interesting shot that we see Ethan. He is clearly in captivity of Heisenberg, and that was already kind of suggested in the earlier footage. And we don't know really what is happening with Ethan here, but we can clearly see not only is he captured, but he is also in some kind of contraption, because we see that surrounding him there are these mechanical gears, and Heisenberg is really dragging Ethan forward with these mechanical gears. So we believe he is in some kind of contraption, but we cannot really say what it is. And of course, it's also very interesting to see Heisenberg here with his mechanical hammer again. I think it's a really cool looking weapon. And then moving on, we have another shot of Ethan moving through the castle. There's not much you can say here. However, this shot is kind of interesting because not only do we see the Duke again, this sort of implies a new location, right, David?
Yeah, we see, of course, we've seen the Duke in his carriage traveling around, but we can clearly see that this is probably in the castle. By looking at the interior, it's almost certain we're going to get to see the Duke in a lot of different locations.
Indeed, David, and I like that. This means that he will not only be in his carriage on one location, but he will be in many different locations. He will have a secret room possibly in the castle, and that really reminds me again of the merchant of Resident Evil 4, who kind of had his secret stashes everywhere throughout the village, and then inside Salazar's castle, and then literally everywhere where you went, he also went with you on a different location. So that's really cool to see that the Duke is really channeling the merchant of Resident Evil 4. So I cannot wait to also see more of the Duke in the showcase next week. So that's all we can say about this little teaser. Now we are almost certain that after this showcase on April the 15th, Capcom will probably drop a combat demo of Resident Evil Village. And after the showcase that we will be streaming live on our channel, afterwards we will overanalyze basically every shot that we see in the footage. So be sure to check out the channel then again. And thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.